Hello, my name's Darryl. I've been working at Kerry Foods developing fantastic products for the last 4 years. It's a great opportunity to be involved with the Special Olympics, and today I'll be cooking a dish for you which will help you reach your 5 fit goal. So today I'm going to be cooking for you Parmesan pasta with meatballs. And although I give you a recipe to follow, we can make as many changes as we like when we go along, so you'll have plenty to choose from. Things like the pasta type that you like and whether it's gluten-free or not, and also whether you want to actually use a meatball or a meat-free meatball. I will be using today a meatless ball, which will give you a great source of protein, and then with the veggies that we're using, it'll also contribute to one of your 5 a day. Okay, so let's get started with our prep. Just make sure you get everything ready, and just make sure that you're giving your veggies a quick rinse off, and then we can start slicing or dicing. So for this recipe, what I've decided to do is slice the peppers. There's many ways to get through a pepper. I found this is one of the quickest ones, just to give you the slices that you need. They don't have to either be thick nor thin, they can have them as you want. If you wish to dice them rather than slice them, you can do that. The key thing when you're using a sharp knife is to keep those fingers behind the blade and also your thumb totally out of the way. If you wish to remove this little bit of pith out of the centre, you're more than welcome. It won't do you any harm. So we have one pepper done, that's the green one, so onto the red one. If you don't like green peppers, don't use green peppers. Just use red ones and yellow ones. The red ones are quite a bit sweeter than the others, so you might enjoy them more. So again, just keeping those fingers behind the blade at all times. If you don't want to use this motion when chopping, you can slide the knife backwards like this. Again, it doesn't matter how thick or how thin, there's no measurement really. They will all cook at a similar time. And if one's a bit more crunchy than another, it doesn't really matter. As I say, I've chosen the 3 colours today, just to make it look pretty. So we'll finish off the last pepper, and then we'll move on to the onion. If you wish, you can use a red onion, you can use standard brown onions, you can use shallots, you can use whichever you've got or whichever suits your budget the best as well. Okay, so let's put those in a bowl. And move on to the onion. So it's a rather large onion, this one, so I'm only going to actually use half of it. Thing to remember with the onion is if you're just going to slice it like we are today, just remove the root. And then all we need to do is slice through the onion. Again, it doesn't really matter how thick or how thin, and just turn it over at the end. So those are going in the same bowl because they're going to cook at the same time. Then after that, I suppose the next thing to prep are your tomatoes. Fairly simple. All we're going to do with these is just slice them in half each. If you want to slice them the other way, you're more than welcome. If you want to remove this little piece at the bottom, you can. However, it doesn't really make a great deal of difference. So I suppose the tomatoes that we're adding are going to add some sweetness to the dish, and it will be instead of a sauce. So as I say, really fresh, tasting dish. So just a dozen tomatoes, just going into another bowl there. They will go in just after the peppers and onions are cooked, just to soften up a little bit. So after that, we're just going to add a little bit of garlic that can go in with the tomatoes in a minute. You will probably have a garlic press at home. If you don't have a garlic press, all you need to do is use the heel of the knife and push down onto the garlic. You see it's already crushed. Quite simple. And again. And then you can either get your hands very close or keep them away. If you want to chop through like this, you can, or you can just chop through like this. Depending again how fine you like your garlic. I don't mind getting a piece of garlic. Some people like it more like a paste or a puree. So we'll just give that a chop through a couple of times. As I say, keep fingers out of the way. I think that will do for what we need. That's lovely. So then we're left with our herbs. So we've got two lots of herbs. We've got our basil, which is given a quick rinse off too. And then we can use the stalks to hold the bunch with. It makes it a bit easier for you. And then you can either tear it or you can slice it. Again, it's up to you how big you want it. Just roughly chop through the basil. Moving your fingers backwards as you're doing it. When you get to the stalks, you're finished. So, we'll put those in a dish. And then we can get on with the parsley. So with the parsley, all I've done is actually pick out a few of the bigger stalks. Some of the smaller ones you can leave on, but just take off the bigger ones. And then again, we just roll up into the middle. You can use flat leaf parsley or you can use curly parsley. You can buy your parsley ready chopped. You can buy your peppers and onions ready chopped as well if you wish. However, it's good to learn some new skills. Once you chop your parsley one way, chop it the other. If you don't feel confident chopping your parsley like that, you can also chop through like this. It keeps your hands out the way of everything. And then we'll just move that over a couple of times just to make sure we've got the chop size that we require. A little bit more chopping in the basil, because we probably don't want a really big piece of parsley. There we go. So that's our veggies prepped. Okay, so we're going to cook our meatballs now, or meatless balls. So we're just going to go for a medium hob, just a standard frying pan. A little bit of oil in the bottom, and then straight in with the meatballs. So, all we're looking to do is get some sort of even colouring over the meatball, and then we're going to put them onto a tray into the oven to finish off cooking, and that'll probably take about 8 minutes in the pan. Okay, so we've got a nice caramelised colour onto the product now, so let's get these out of the pan. And we'll pop those in the oven just to finish off, keep warm while we finish cooking the peppers and onions. Okay, meatballs are in the oven, so we can start cooking our veggies through. This time you probably want your pan a little bit higher on the heat, a little bit of oil in the bottom again, and then we just want to get a little bit of colour on through the peppers and through the onions. Get a bit of caramelisation, bring a bit of sweetness through. So we'll just give that a couple of minutes to start cooking, and then we can add in the rest of the ingredients. So when we have added the rest of the ingredients, and that's up to you guys then. If you want to season, have a taste, see what you think, see if it needs a little bit of salt and pepper, it probably will. So the main flavour profiles that are going to come through are the basil, the parsley, and the garlic. So you can either stir through or you can just toss the veg, whichever's easiest for you guys. Okay. So we've got some colour onto our peppers and onions now, so we're going to go in with the tomatoes and garlic. So we'll just incorporate those into the dish. All we're trying to do is just soften these tomatoes a little bit, instead, they will really be instead of a sauce. So I would have thought we'll need a couple of minutes of these. Okay, so time to incorporate the rest of the ingredients back into the pan. So meatballs have come out of the oven, are going back in. The tomatoes have softened down nicely now. So they can get mixed in. Then in with our pasta. We're going to keep it plain on this dish. As I say, we're going to need to season. So, a little bit of salt, a little bit of black pepper, and then we can go in with our herbs. So this is the basil and the parsley then, and then that will give it its main fresh flavour. So we'll be able to stir this through, just warming them herbs through to get the fragrance off them, and then we'll be ready to serve. So as I say, with this one, we've just got the herbs. With the next one that we do, we're going to add a little bit of pesto into it. Okay, so we said we were going to finish the dish in 3 different ways for you, just to give you a little bit of extra. So the meatballs are going back in with the peppers, the onions and the tomatoes, which is fine. So this time when we put our cooked pasta in, we're going to mix a bit of red pesto through, so it's going to give us a nice tomato and red pepper flavour as well, along with the dish this time. So we just mix that through. You can put as much or as little as the pesto on as you like. It just adds a bit of difference to the dish. And this time, instead of using our fusilli, which are our pasta twists, we've used the farfalle, which are the pasta bows. They're all made from exactly the same ingredients, durum wheat. They're just made and extruded into different shapes, that's all. So some hold on to sauce better than others, and some are just favoured for their actual shape. So there we go. Nice and easy, mixed around, adds another colour to the dish, adds another taste dimension again. So we can go in with that. We can go in with our herbs. We can give that a good mix around. So all the flavours are incorporated once more. You just want to warm them herbs through, just so we get fragrance coming off those and the flavour going into the dish. So a nice taste of the Med, or a nice taste of summer, whichever you like. You'll probably need a big frying pan. So anyway, we're just going to finish this now and season with a little bit of salt and pepper. And then you have a taste of the dish, see what you think. And then once that's warmed through and all mixed up, we're ready to serve again. Okay, so this is the third way that we're going to finish the dish today. So we've softened down our tomatoes after we've fried our peppers and onions, and then we're going back into the dish with the meatballs. So this time we're actually going to use an orzo pasta, which is just a short cut pasta really. Same ingredient again, looks a bit like rice grains. And we're going to mix some green pesto into it this time, so we really do get that extra kick of basil through the dish this time, along with the cheese and the pine nuts, a little bit more garlic again, so a bit more adventurous again, a bit more flavour to the dish. You can use as much or as little as you like. So again, incorporate this into the dish. again, in with the herbs, stir through, and then again we've got a dish to serve 4 people. Just again warm the herbs through. Then we're going to season again. Bit of salt, bit of pepper. So a nice, vibrant, colourful dish. And then we're just going to finish these 3 now, and I'll just show you that in a minute. Okay, so here we have our finished dishes. So this was the original one that we did, which was the meatballs with pasta. So all we're going to do with this one now, just to serve up, is give ourselves a few leaves of basil and then a nice generous sprinkling of the Parmesan on the top. Then what we said we'd do next is mix some red pesto through with our pasta to give the dish a different look and another dimension. And then just to change things around again, this time we could use some shavings of Parmesan, and we just sprinkle those on the top, whichever you fancy. And then the third dish that we said we'd finish off with a green pesto this time. Now if you don't actually like Parmesan, you can always finish yourself, if you like, with a bit of normal cheese. There's nothing stopping you doing that. But for this particular dish, we're going to use the Parmesan again. So there we go. 3 different ways to finish the pasta with meatballs. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed watching me cook these dishes today, and hopefully you're going to try them yourself.